type of list Jason Ford has.
All right, we're in GP Baltimore round 11. Pat Chapin, Jason Ford. There's a good shot of Pat and Judge Sean Doherty.
Mine's in the hotel room.
You want to do me a favor?
Just giving
There's like,
himself a little bit
I
of
feel
a
like there's a
mohawk
card that's like,
tournament. Or a faux hawk.
A push-up hawk.
Sure.
I want you to know, though, I don't take those words lightly. I have a favor from Jason Ford.
Jason Ford.
Someday, and this day may never come,
a blue-white Delver deck.
I will call upon you to do a favor for me.
Matt Costa made it to the top 8 of third for Dark Ascension with. Patrick Chapin is playing
You wanna name Jerry's kid? I have the birthright to
Seen
that.
a lot of this style of deck.
I have it on paper.
Would for sure.
Okay.
Brad Nelson and Charles Mindy playing blue-white controllers. And a lot of people
As a matter of fact,
filling their
I
decks
would
up
owe you a
with Mana
favor.
Leaks,
2 for 1 now.
Think Twices,
You said you don't
Dissipates,
play?
Forbidden Alchemies, a bunch of spot removal, like Tragic Slip and Doomblade. Got Ratchet Bomb. Players are off. They both kept their opening hands. Jason Ford starts on a Ponder.
We looking at Pat's list, we see a third Grave Titan. I think a lot of the other decks were only running 2.
Yeah. A lot of decks were just trying to, grind out the game. Eventually went on to Value Drown Yard. There's definitely a split. Some players have chosen to go with Grave Titan. Others have gone with Consecrated Sphinx. Hopefully we can get Chapin in here after the match, talk to him a little bit about that choice, see what goes into that decision.
Yep.
Ford just threw a taxing probe. He gets to see exactly what Chapin's up to. Sees a hand without any counter spells, but with a good amount of removal. Got a Doomblade, a Ratchet Bomb, Curse of Death Hold. So Jason Ford has any Shroud creatures, like Geist of St. Traft or Invisible Stalkers, those are going to be in good shape. He's probably going to be able to get through any equipment. We see he has a Runechanter's Pike in his hand.
So if Pat is going to want to force through one of Ratchet Bomb or Curse, which is his better choice here?
Probably the Ratchet Bomb here. Like he wants to make sure that he has an answer for Geist of St. Traft, which can just really win games all by itself. We see Jason Ford just threw a Moorland Haunt, which is a huge card in this matchup. Now suddenly Curse of Death Hold becomes the more important of the two. Chapin has a Ratchet Bomb out. In a little while he'll be able to tick it up, probably deal with the Runechanter's Pike. Maybe, Jason is going to be a little bit reluctant to play something like an Invisible Stalker, like a Snapcaster Mage,
because he doesn't want to
die.
Get 2 for 1.
You also notice that Jason has not played the Moorland Haunt yet. Doesn't want to leave it open to a Ghost Quarter. Wants to make sure that he gets at least a token out of it before it dies. Turn 4. Jason has not played a creature yet. Good. I'm sure Chapin is pretty happy to be in this spot. He gets more time to draw some more cards with Think Twice. He gets to keep making land drops. Gets to stock up on all the best answers possible.
And develop his position to take control of the game.
Yeah. Eventually, might be able to force through a Grave Titan in the not too distant future. That appears to be a checklist card on Delver's Secret. Chapin let's resolve. Let's see if he moves to kill it immediately or if he's going to wait. Nope, he's going to wait. He's just going to flash back Think Twice.
Do you think Pat doesn't put Ford on having Mana Leak at this point?
I think that Chapin has to respect the possibility of a counterspell, or a game-breaking card like a Geist the Saint Trap. Which I guess isn't that relevant because Chapin still has the Ratchet Bomb around. Chapin goes to Doomblade the Delver, and Jason saves it with a Vapor Snag. Attempts to.
You see Pat doing some thinking here about this play. Even if he's not going to counter the Vapor Snag,
right,
he wants to represent choices in his hand for Jason to think about down the road. It's not, he's not going to snap say, "Oh, I don't have anything." He's got to
dissipates the Delver when it comes back down.
He's got to provide some disinformation to Jason in that case.
Certainly, and he gets to use that time. If he's pretending, even if he actually isn't thinking about anything there, if he knows what he's going to do on that turn, he gets to use that time to think about what he wants to do over his next 3 turns. Is he going to try to play? When is he going to try to play Curse of Deathhold? When is he going to, use his Sync Twices? What type of cards is he willing to spend, 1-for-1 removal spells on? What does he want to find on Forbidden Alchemy? If you sort of front load all that decision making, you really get to mask what you have in your hand.
All right, we see Chapin has left the Ratchet Bomb on 2. So he's interested in keeping the Invisible Stalker and the Runechanter's Pike off his back. For sure. There's a Drown Yard.
All right. But Jason Ford has a Moorland Haunt. So, and Chapin has a Ghost Coder that he can use to take it out. One dangerous thing, Chapin does not want to fill Jason Ford's graveyard up with creatures if he can just make a bunch of Moorland Haunt tokens every turn. But fortunately, Chapin has that Ghost Coder, so he can take out the Moorland Haunt at a moment's notice. Forbidden Alchemy gets flashback, and Chapin now has to decide if he wants to take a Grave Titan that he could use to sort of seal the game up with, or if he wants a Dissipate, give himself a little bit more, another answer. Oh, he does go with the. Looks like he went with the Dissipate.
He's clearly gonna try to play the control game.
Yep. He already has an Nephalia Drown Yard down. He knows he can win with that. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't die in the meantime.
There you see, healed a mana leak.
Now, Chapin has just been hitting his land drops. He's using Doomblade on a Delver. He's eventually countered that Delver when it got recast. Got a Ratchet Bomb down on 2, ready to take out Runechanter's Pike. Yeah. Neither of these players have actually committed a lot to the board. Mostly just been sort of slogging through the game. Chapin's been, digging through his deck with Forbidden Alchemy and Think Twice. Jason Ford's just been sort of waiting patiently for a good opportunity. We see Chapin drawing a bunch of cards with Think Twices. He's probably not missing any land drops anytime soon. We also see that he drew a Black Sun Zenith. So if Jason Ford ever gets to a point where he commits multiple creatures to the board, Chapin can punish him for it.
Black Sun Zenith is a card that, unlike classic a board sweeper like Wrath of God, Damnation, you can feel a little better about committing to just killing one guy with, because it shuffles back in.
Sure. The fact that you can play Black Sun Zenith for exactly 3 mana can be a huge benefit, especially when you're playing against a deck with Moorland Haunts and Mana Leaks and Delver Secrets and Invisible Stalkers. If you need to make sure that you have enough mana left over to be able to pay for those mana leaks, to be able to make sure that you can play additional counter spells if they play a Geist of Saint Trap. Something else really relevant.
Another mana leak there for Pat Chapin. Does have a Grave Titan in his hand that he's going to try to cast the Curse of Death's Hold.
Right. Now, if that sticks, that's going to be really tough for Jason Ford to deal with. The only creature that Jason has that can live through a curse is Geist of Saint Trap. So yeah, did resolve. Only route that Jason has to victory now is Geist of Saint Trap.
Pat probably has there you see he's drawn a second Grave Titan. Has a pretty good idea of what Jason's victory conditions are.
Yeah. Not only that, but Chapin already has the Ratchet Bomb down that he can use to, probably won't kill the Geist immediately because Jason has a number of Vapor Snags stockpiled, but, certainly buy him a lot of time, deals key resources. Jason's trying to work on Snapcaster Mage, gives Chapin yet another victory condition. It's interesting to note that, now he goes for the Grave Titan. Interesting that Chapin has not been using his Nepali Drownyard. I guess he figures that he's just going to be able to win on Grave Titan eventually. If Jason didn't counter the curse, he probably doesn't have many great answers at his disposal.
There's a mana leak, which Pat pays for.
And then I guess another mana leak's coming. Yep. Snapcaster Mage immediately dies because of Curse of Death's Hold, but he still gets to flashback a mana leak on it.
That's that right there. We saw a card advantage situation for Chapin because it took 2 cards for Jason Ford to get rid of the Grave Titan. It's not like Pat played a counter spell; he just paid the 3 mana.
Right.
And I think this is a game that Chapin is happy to play if he's gonna put out a threat that Jason needs to spend 2 cards for every time. He's going to eventually win the long game. Again, he can win the Drownyard game in the long run.
Chapin just discarded a mana leak. Didn't want to try to cast another Grave Titan. But again, does not use his Drownyard. Chapin might be worried that Jason Ford has a way to deal with the Drownyard. Oh, a second Drownyard.
Now things start to speed up.
And Chapin goes for a Grave Titan. Yep, it resolves. Jason is not going to have many more turns.
Vapor Snag certainly doesn't help him as a creature removal at this point.
Not
it just
really.
creates a worse situation.
Deal with zombies. He did draw a Geist of Saint Trap, which is really his only victory condition at this point, but that's not going to be enough. Scoops it up, wants to try to give himself enough time in case the match goes to 3 games.
It's again a situation of time management.
Yeah.
He's still got to win 2 games to win this match. If he wastes a lot of time on this one, he's not going to have the time for that one. Situation being really lost once the Curse of Death's Hold stuck, like you said.
Right. He was down to just Geist of Saint Trap as a way to win, and he didn't draw that until it was too late.
So what does it look like we're going to see from out of the sideboard out of these 2 guys?
So Jason Ford is probably going to bring in his Jace Memory Adept. We saw Ben Friedman using Jace Memory Adept to great effect. Was it ultimately decking Michael Jacob in their match at the end of day 1? He's probably going to bring in a couple of Dissipates. Might also add a Surgical Extraction to his deck. We see Chapin has another Curse of Death's Hold, almost certainly coming in. He knows just how huge an effect that has on Jason Ford. Actually, with respect to the curses, Jason might bring in some Celestial Purges or Revoke Existences. He doesn't want to get into a spot like he was in the game where he just loses if Chapin was able to resolve his enchantment.
Seems like a fair number of cards,
Right.
or at least in his decision matrix. We see him put the Surgical Extraction in.
And that looks like a Invisible Stalker getting boarded out, as well as a couple of swords. I guess Jason's just relying on his Runechanter spikes for equipment at this point. So, we see Jason is indeed bringing in his Celestial Purges, and I believe the Revoke Existence is coming in as well.
Yeah, I think we did indeed see that. The Drown Yard plan is a bit of a two-edged sword for Patrick Chapin in this match, given that Jason has his Runechanter spikes.
Runechanter spike, he has Snapcaster Mages that he can, draw more spells off of, and he has Moorland Haunt. You don't want to give, your opponent a ton of Moorland Haunt ammo.
Right. I mean, that's just fuel for his long-range plan.
Yeah, Chapin was not using Drown Yard on Jason Ford that game. He wasn't using it on himself either, even when he had extra mana. You could have used it to try to draw into Sync Twices, maybe find some Forbidden Alchemies, but just didn't. Felt very comfortable with the resources that he had. Might not have wanted to give up too much information. Figured he already had the game in hand.
All right, so we're gonna see Patrick Chapin up a game on Jason Ford. Jason's certainly on the play, and we know the turn one play that he wants, right?
Yep. Delver's Secrets. Just an incredibly powerful start against any strategy. And if Chapin doesn't have a quick way to deal with it, he's just going to die.
You can see on the overhead shot both players using pile shuffling method. I'll remind you that just pile shuffling is not sufficiently randomizing your deck. You're going to have to give it riffles after that.
All right, so now, what makes a deck sufficiently randomized? How many times do you have to riffle your deck?
Well, enough.
Enough?
It's kind of a balls and strikes call, but I'd say 6 to 7 riffles should be enough to make it really random. I'm not sure of all the math on it, but pile shuffling is a technique that magicians actually use. Is a trick that magicians use to put cards exactly where they want them in the 52 card deck. So
sure.
it doesn't you can use it to keep the cards in the order that they're already in, as a matter of fact. So pile shuffling is good, especially when you use a random number of piles. So you use 7 piles here, 6 piles there, 8 piles there, but you're still going to need 6 or 7 good riffle shuffles to get your deck completely randomized.
All right, the players drawing up their hands for game 2. Jason putting the 1 in front of the game wins for Patrick.
It's like a bit of a weak hand for Jason Ford. Yeah, he's definitely shipping it.
Not happy with it.
There wasn't much of a decision matrix formed there. He had 1 land.
Right. And you'll see Jason did keep in some number of Vapor Snags. Kind of, might not appear to be the best card against blue-black, but the ability to save its own creatures, to be able to reload a Snapcaster Mage, to be able to get your Geist of St. Trap back, can be, pretty big deal.
One land under Explore Epic Growth Hand or something like that.
Where mathematically you're like, it's close, it's dubious, but
Yeah, but like not the kind of magic I ever want to play.
the drawer adds at least $100 in that case.
It's just gonna laugh at me if I show that.
Chapin kept his 7-card hand.
Certainly don't want to be in the situation of being down a game
On the play.
On the play against the control deck.
No.
Going to 6.
Especially a deck like Chapin's, it just has so many good answers, so many good cheap answers. You just need to have one more threat than they can deal with.
Well, this was a real good matchup for Chapin coming in.
I think as their decks are configured, yes. Chapin has, Ratchet Bombs, he has Curse of Death Hold, he has a lot of good tools, and it doesn't seem like Jason Ford is really going out of his way to try to beat blue-black control.
So we see him keeping his 6. Jace Memory Depth being one of them.
Yep. Definitely a good route to victory. Chapin never taps out since he has Jason beat on a Curse of Death Hold. Jason can just go right over the top on him.
We see a Neil Spellbomb in Pat's hand.
Jason goes for a main phase Snapcaster Mage, getting back his Ponder. If Chapin had played the Spellbomb, Jason wouldn't have been able to get away with that. Tragic Slump takes out the Snapcaster Mage, but Jason had already recouped his card.
He's gotten his value, right?
Getting that Snapcaster back, and suddenly he's made up for that mulligan. Chapin plays Ratchet Bomb and adds the Spellbomb to his side of the board. This is going to open up a window for Jason Ford to play a Geist of St. Traft. And Chapin's going to be able to tick up his Ratchet Bomb. He'll eventually be able to kill the Geist, but not before he takes a lot of damage.
He's going to take a fair amount.
He's going to take, 6 this turn. 6, goes down to 14. He's going to take another 6 next turn, unless he draws a Tribute to Hunger or some other similar answer.
Right, say Jason.
And then he'll be on 8 before he gets to Ratchet Bomb it away.
GG's Live, Rashad Miller token coming in as the Angel.
Patrick Chapin uses a Nephalia Drown Yard on himself, looking for Sync Twices, looking for Forbidden Alchemies, looking for good cards that he can get back with Snapcaster Mage. While he might be planning to eventually deck Jason Ford with the Nephalia
Interesting draw for Pat Chapin, and I think he's going to play it.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Phantasmal Image. It's a big play. If Jason's going to go ahead and dissipate it. But if the Phantasmal Image was allowed to resolve, copy Geist of St. Traft, and because of the legendary rule, they would both kill each other. And that would take away, Jason's current primary route to victory. Attack's going to knock him down to 8.
There's the angelic Rashad Miller coming in for 4 again.
And Jason goes ahead and plays the Delver Seeker. So now Chapin's going to be able to take up his Ratchet Bomb to 3. He's going to be able to kill the Geist of St. Traft with it. But now he's got that Delver Seeker that he has to worry about.
He's going to use the Spellbomb now.
Yeah, just wants to draw an answer. Does not want to die in the air to a transformed Delver. Now, Chapin has he just threw a Black Sun Zenith that he can potentially use to take out both of Jason's creatures. He also has a Curse of Death Hold and a Grave Titan. Now again, Jason has... he's going to go for the Curse of Death Hold. Now Jason has that Jace Memory Adept in his hand. So now that Chapin's tapped out, or tapped down to just a single land, he's going to be able to resolve it without a problem.
End of turn, Celestial Purge, exiles that. There it is, the Jace Memory Adept. How many answers does Patrick Chapin have to that?
Well, he has a Grave Titan in his hand.
That he's going to get to resolve.
Not just answers, but go over the top on it. And Jason Ford just used his Celestial Purge. Deals it. Do I see a Snapcaster Mage in Jason's hand?
I didn't get a good enough look at it.
he would be able to use that to flashback the Celestial Purge and block one of the zombie tokens. However, yep, Chapin is going to play his Grave Titan. However, even after a Snapcaster Mage bringing back Purge, yeah, that is a Snapcaster Mage. And a Salt Scour that Jason can use to sort of dig for more good answers.
There it is.
It's the Snapcaster Mage.
Definitely going to
purchase the Grave Titan. But Chapin still has 2 zombie tokens. So even after Jason blocks, Chapin will have a zombie token left over. However, Jason's Moreland Taunt can give him a good number of blockers. Think Twice and Forbidden Alchemy just made their way into Chapin's graveyard.
Any value to Pat playing the Black Sun Zenith for 1 here to take out the Snapcaster, give himself an attack into Jace?
I think that's a weaker play than just attacking in. I think you'd rather have a single 2/2 zombie than 2 1/1 zombies, especially when Jason has a Moreland Taunt. So this attack is still going to knock Jace down to 2 counters and force Jason into a position where he's going to have to start chump blocking.
Jason only 1 card left in his hand.
Yeah, but he has that Jace down. He has the Moreland Taunt. It's really on Chapin to do something quickly before he gets sacked. The attack, puts Jace down to 2 counters.
As Jason Ford fans out his graveyard, we have results from the greater field. Jackie Lee continuing her tear, now 10-1 with 3 straight after her round 8 loss. Joined at 10-1 by Dan Lenthier, who deals Greg Reelitz his 2nd loss.
And a Vapor Snag deals with the zombie token, and Chapin does not have much time to find an answer to Jace. If he even has one in his deck at this point. Chapin is using Nephalia Drown Yard on Jason Ford. Might just be looking for more information at this point. Knows that he doesn't have that much room to maneuver, counting out his deck.
It's about 11 or 12 cards.
Yeah.
So
just concedes, doesn't want to show everything to Jason. But uses the Nephalia Drown Yard to just get a little bit more information there.
And I think actually Jason was the one that offered him, hey, do you want a Drown Yard to take a look? Again, we see, one of the things that I love that we see is the great sporting conduct in the feature match area. These guys are great players, but they don't feel the need to keep each other sort of at a distance in order to get some advantage that probably isn't there in the first place.
Right. These guys, most of the people you see playing, at the top level, they're friends. They know, they see each other at 10, 20 events a year. Spend a lot of time together. They're not looking to get this small, marginal advantage in any given game. They know they're going to see each other again. They want to have, a good match. They want to have a fun match.
And they want to. I think it's in sort of enlightened self-interest to create great relationships down the road. Because, like you said, Pat Chapin picked up the phone when he couldn't. He was trying to make his Grixis control deck work.
Could not do it.
Picked up the phone, called LSV. He's like, "What do you got?" And if there had been, some previous tension between the two of them, the phone call never happens.
Right. Or it does happen, and Luis abruptly hangs up.
Right. You were a jerk to me a lot. So creating
and you can just fill out your deck rate sheet with 75 copies of "Why Were You a Jerk to Me?"
Right.
Good night. Click.
Creating great communities is part of the strength of this game. It's fun for these players to come to the events. It's good for them to come.
Is your tablet making Skype noises?
Yes. Okay. I will make my tablet not make Skype noises. Somehow.
Does it have a volume on the volume button?
I'm sure it does somewhere. Shad Miller asking me about the technical things. I think he's going to come over.
It's coming into the booth
volume
now.
buttons are technical things.
Volume buttons are very technical things for a Luddite like me.
Right now we've got, Rashad getting rid of
Man,
all
first
those
try.
annoying-
First try found the volume button.
Alright, so for those of you listening in at home, you won't have to deal with any beepy, boopy Skype noises coming from Sheldon's tablet.
You will still get the same high-quality information fed to us by scorekeeper Nicholas Hong, however, via the Skype chat.
Players moving things around a little bit for Game 3. Possible that Jason Ford's strategy changes a bit more now that he's on the draw. Knows that he isn't going to be able to get off to quite the same level of aggressive starts when Chapin gets to start up, gets to play a second land before he does, gets to have that mana leak mana open early. Jason knows he's going to have a little bit more trouble resolving a Geist-Desync trap.
Did another Dissipate? Pat put that back in? Is he even playing Dissipate? Oh, yeah,
Chapin?
he is.
Oh, yeah, no,
okay.
that's a key card in the blue-black control deck.
Right.
No, it's interesting. People assume, blue-black control, they're going to have so many counter spells. No, actually, most blue-black control decks only have about 6 or 7 counters in their deck. They have a set of mana leaks, you've got 2 or 3 dissipates, and maybe they have a negate or 2.
Yeah, I think long gone are the days when there was just 17 counterspell decks.
You can't afford to do that. If you're playing a bunch of counter spells and you fall behind on the board, you're going to be in a really tough spot a lot of times. Right? Well, I have all these answers. If my opponent plays anything, I'm going to be able to deal with it. But I'm getting hit over and over again by this.
The first thing that squeezes its way through becomes an incredible threat to you.
My opponent played a Delver on turn 1, and now I can't possibly win. Or a Champion of the Parish. Or they were able to sneak through a Lingering Soul.
Jason Ford shuffling up, making sure his deck is nicely randomized. Giving it those riffles that he needs to give it.
Also, at the same time, when he's piling out his deck, he's making sure that he has exactly 60 cards. When you're doing a lot of sideboarding, it can be easy to lose track of things a little bit. Just want to double check. Draw up their opening hands. Is that a Batter Skull that we see sticking out of Jason Ford's hand? Chapin opens up on a non-spellbomb, and Jason gets to see the rest of his hand with Gitaxian Probe. Sees a Snapcaster Mage, a Tragic Slip, and Tribute to Hunger. Tribute to Hunger, one of the few cards in Chapin's deck that can actually deal with a Shroud creature, like Geist-Desync Trap.
See Jason Ford's draw.
Jason chooses not to play Delver's Secret.
Interesting. What's his play line there?
He doesn't want to just see it immediately die to the Tragic Slip. Setting up for a better situation with Ponder. waiting a little while.
Well, the Invisible Stalker, however, does not fall to the tragic slip.
It does not. Chapin might find himself in a position where he needs to tribute to Hunter, the Invisible Stalker, and that would give Jason Ford an opportunity to move in with the Geist of St. Trapp. Yep. Chapin just tributes to Hunger on his main phase.
Mana Leak was the draw there for Jason Ford.
Jason Ford now casts his Delver.
With Mana Leak mana.
He knows that Chapin has a tragic slip and he needs to kill it, but that tragic slip will eventually kill something. Tragic slip. Jason Ford thinking about bouncing it with Vapor Stag or countering it with Dissipate. Also making a note that Chapin no longer has Tragic Slip in his hand.
And there's the Dissipate.
Dissipate resolved.
And we see Liliana there in Pat's hand.
Going to allow him to knock that Delver out immediately. May also give Jason Ford an opportunity to resolve his Batter Skull if he draws another land.
There's Liliana.
Chapin just drew a Phantasmal Image, giving himself some protection should Jason Ford play Geist of St. Trapp. And Jason Ford bounces his own Delver's Secret in response to Chapin activating his Liliana. Wants to save his only creature.
Okay, Jason's going to probe again, sees the Phantasmal Image and Snapcaster Mage in Pat's hand.
Jason knew about the Snapcaster Mage already. A big part of why he dissipated the Tragic Slip was that he didn't want to give Chapin a 1-mana card that he could flash back with Snapcaster Mage.
There's the Delver again. His draw for the looks like his draw for the turn was Celestial Purge,
right?
Which pretty effectively deal with that Liliana.
Right. Might not be in a rush to do that. Figures the cards in Chapin's hand are currently more valuable than the cards in his hand. Wanted to make each player discard before purging it. Jason Ford discards a Mana Leak, while Patrick Chapin discards a Phantasmal Image to the Liliana.
Does not reveal what looked like a Geist that he drew.
Yep. Delver, still a 1/1. Looks like Jason was thinking about using Celestial Purge on the Liliana of the Veil, and then attacking Chapin down to 19. Is what he's going to do.
Pat looks at his hand, but has, or shows no answer.
Now at the, is this in the attack step still? Plays the Snapcaster Mage, goes to flashback Tribute to Hunger. The Tribute to Hunger gets Mana Leak, but the Snapcaster is still able to trade with the Delver.
So we're down to Chapin with 1 card in his hand, now 2. He draws a second.
Magic Bomb. He also has the Nile Spell Bomb that you can use to peel an extra card.
Jason Ford also 2 cards left in his hand.
one of which is the batter skull, which could very well be enough to win him the game. But
There's the Geist.
Chapin's going to be able to use his denial spellbomb. Curious to see if he ticks up his ratchet bomb. He does. And he's probably going to play his Phantasmal Image to take out the Geist immediately. Yeah, he doesn't want to take just 6 points a turn from that Geist.
Or he doesn't want to take any chances of Jason.
And that is the Batter Skull, which Chapin does not have a counter spell for. Ratchet Bomb goes up to 2. Chapin draws another land. Not what he needs to see here.
And he passes. So it's going to hurt a little bit.
Ponder. Jason forward. So we've got a bunch of spells, including another Snapcaster Mage and a Delver. So knocks Chapin down to 16, and a Delver comes to play for Jason Ford. And another Delver. The Ratchet Bomb's already on 2 counters. So Jason doesn't have to worry about his Delvers getting knocked out. And Chapin uses the Nepali Drown Yard on himself, looking for Think Twice, which he finds, or Forbidden Alchemy, as well as just more instants and sorceries for Snapcaster Mage.
That goes to 3 on the Ratchet Bomb.
He drew a Grave Titan, which he can play right here.
He knows Jason's Ford is out of cards.
You know, Tragic Flip Delver first, and then he does cast the Grave Titan. Jason is going to be able to transform his Delver's secrets. He had stacked the top of his library with Ponder. He does.
So both players living off the top here. Who do you like?
Right now, looks like Chapin has a little bit of an advantage, but not by much. Oh, no, Jason goes ahead and moves his Batter Skull over. Suddenly, Chapin just needs to draw something really quickly, or he's going to die.
Ticks up Ratchet Bomb to 4.
So,
As Pat thinks, we have results. Steve Rubin wins 2-0 over Benjamin Peebles-Mundi, going to 9-2. Shuei Nakamura, rough start, 0-2 this morning, dropping himself down to 7-4. So
because of the life gain off the Batter Skull, Chapin can't even really seriously consider racing. He's going to need to figure out a way to kill that Delver. The insectile aberration now.
going in with the Grave Titan.
With the Grave Titan. Jason Ford takes the damage, goes back to 20, and Chapin gets another couple of zombie tokens. Did Jason Ford find anything? He found a Runechanter's Pike off of his Ponder, which if he plays it, he's going to be able to kill Chapin this turn. He does. Plays it, equips, attacks, and looks like that's game.
If Patrick has no answer in his hand is extended across the table. Jason Ford comes back from down a game and beats Patrick Chapin 2-1, handing Chapin his second loss. Ford positioning himself extremely well for a run into the top 8. I think we're gonna get Jason Ford here in the booth.